Okay. Sorry, y'all. You can hear me now, can't you? Tell me if you can now hear me. That should have fixed it. Ah! Is that an I can hear you? Sorry, those of you watching on Instagram are like, what are they talking about? I can hear them just fine. Yeah, you can. I'm streaming on 2 different devices, but to like 5 different platforms. That's how I feel about it. Yesterday I threw a little temper tantrum while I was live streaming. But this is my second time doing it, so I feel a little more calm. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, you can hear me. Hello! Officially hello. So let me just do that little intro again. Sorry, those of you watching on Instagram, I'm going to do that again. So, I was going to be on tour right now, tonight. This show right now would have been happening, would have been beginning. I would have been on stage right now at this moment at Jupiter Hall in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I put a lot of months, with me and my booker Sarah, we put a lot of months into booking this tour, and for a variety of reasons we didn't want to cancel it. Of course, we had to cancel it, but we decided to reimagine it. So it's not totally canceled. It's happening right now via the internet. I'm in my home studio, but I'm at Jupiter Hall. And so we were, I knew that I could play virtual concerts on the internet and hopefully make some tips, and so far folks have been super generous. It's been amazing, because, I don't really make much money for many months, and then I go on tour and I make money, and then I live off of that for a while. So we did all of the work, and then I didn't get to do that thing that I depend on to live. So it's been really wonderful that people have been tipping so generously during my live streams, but I have been concerned about the venues that I love and that I go back to, because musicians at my level were depending on these small and medium-sized venues, and they struggle to stay open anyway, and generally the people who run them are really dedicated music lovers, and they're doing it because they're passionate about it, not because it's a big money maker. So I wanted to do something that would help me and the venues that I was going to be playing on this tour. So Sarah and I asked the venues if they wanted to do this, do the show anyway. So Jupiter Hall is also hosting this show and directing folks to this live stream, and we are sharing any tips that you sent, because we both, Jupiter Hall and I, we both depend on gatherings of people to make money. And I know that, basically everyone, or a lot of people, I know that a lot of people are really struggling right now. So, definitely not saying that it's just musicians and venues. It isn't. If you are financially devastated by what's going on, please just sit back and enjoy this concert. And if you're not financially hurt by what's happening right now, please think about spreading that fortune around. And here's one option for how to spread that around. I'll talk more about that later in the set. Okay, so much talking at the beginning. In 2010, I visited a maximum security men's prison, New Folsom Prison. My first time ever being inside of a prison, and I was there to play music. I entered the prison that day thinking this will be an interesting one-off experience that I'll tell stories about for years, and that's it. And I left the prison that day knowing that it had completely changed my life. I couldn't explain why, but I went back to the prison many times over 5 years, and I wrote an album with the folks that I worked with inside. And I've been working on that for 10 years. And it was set to release in May. We'll see what's happening with this pandemic by then. But here's a song from it. Ken Blackburn wrote this song, and he is serving life without parole, and he is 77 years old. The song is called All Over Again. There's a blue sky outside my window, and there's never a trace of rain. You've been gone so long this time, little girl. I think I'm over you, all over again. Yes, I think I'm over you, all over again. I no longer think of the loving you must be giving to some other man. I don't even miss that sweet tender kiss. Yes, I think I'm over you, all over again. Yes, I think I'm over you, all over again. It's true, there are times when my heart stops, when I think I see your face in a crowd. Aside from that, I'm baked and horrible. Hell, I even stop crying out loud. Maybe someday you'll get tired of leaving. Maybe someday I'll be through with the pain. Till then, I'll just have to tell myself I think I'm over you, all over again. Yes, I think I'm over you, all over again. Yes, I think I'm over you, all over again. Can you tell me if my vocal and my guitar are at a good balance with each other? If you're wanting to hear more of one of them, I can turn it up. So let me know. Ooh. I wonder if your chats aren't coming in a timely way. Can someone say something so I know if I'm getting all the things I'm supposed to be getting? Say something in the chat. There we go. Okay. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate it. Okay. So, since that first day that I played a concert in the prison, I have thought about prison every single day. And, there's something that I learned in my time, my almost 5 years of volunteering inside the prison, and the biggest takeaway, which is something that has very much stuck with me, is that what we're told out here is that inside prison is a lot of bad people. And that's not the case at all. And so much of the time, the people that end up in prison were in really terrible situations, desperate situations, and maybe they made bad decisions, or maybe they were mistaken for someone else who made a bad decision, or any number of things. But really, what I learned is that prison is full of people who are suffering, and people who were struggling before they got to prison. The average income of someone in prison before they were incarcerated is 40% lower than the average income of people not in prison. So there's a classist thing happening here, and also people of color are incarcerated at a much higher rate. So there are systems at play here, and that's important to keep in mind. I wrote this next song about my experience of working inside the prison and then working with people after they were released. And the song is called Rise. I think I messed that up, y'all. Do you want to get it? My phone is ringing. I wonder if that's disturbing the Instagram feed. Why is my phone ringing? Decline. Video paused. Sorry, y'all. I didn't know that was going to happen. Okay. Great. If you're watching right now, don't call me. Oh, that was my mom calling. Darling, it's all about money. Nothing is too precious, honey. It's all about the money, honey. Rise, rise, rise. Laying bodies like bricks building spires. Somebody's building empires, leaving behind a trail of fire. From the ash rises a choir. Rises a choir. Rise, rise, rise. Muffled voices through the wall. High price paid for a phone call. We amplify as we multiply. So listen as the silence dies. Hear the choir rise. Rise, rise, rise. Rise, rise, rise. Rise, rise, rise. Rise, rise, rise. I'm so used to clapping after I'm done performing a song for people. This is like my 7th live stream since the quarantine, but I'm still not used to it. Da, 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 da. Well, 15 years of performing for live audiences, you know? It might take me a while. So there are prisons in this country where I am and all over the world that are worse than the prison that I volunteered in for 5 years, and that prison was really awful. Really, really, really awful. I saw some really shocking things in there. Things that no human should have to endure, no matter what they've done. And the prisons that are worse than that are immigrant detention centers. And they're worse in a variety of ways, for a variety of reasons. Namely, that the only crime someone committed, for the most part, the only crime someone committed to get there is saving their own life. My grandfather survived the Holocaust, and he died 2 years ago, which means that he saw Trump get elected, unfortunately, and he saw the refugee crisis beginning in Syria, or not in Syria, but with Syrian people. And he saw these wealthy countries rejecting people who were seeking asylum. And he said that it reminded him of Europe just before the Holocaust. And he used to tell me stories when I was a kid, and he fought, before he was captured, he fought in the resistance, and he did really dangerous things in order to be able to forge papers for people to get out of the country. Like he snuck into a Gestapo office and sort of like faked why he had to be there and got a person to walk away from their desk so he could steal a stamp, and he stole the wrong stamp, so he went back a second time and did the same thing again. So really risky stuff in Holocaust time for a Jew. And when he told me these stories, I was a kid and I wondered to myself, if I were in his shoes, or even if I was someone who wasn't being persecuted at the time, if I were not a Jew at that time, let's say, would I be brainwashed? Would I conform? Would I not believe in what was happening but go along with it for my own safety? Or would I fight and risk my safety? And I don't think that that's a question we have to ask ourselves anymore, because at a time when immigrant children are dying in detention centers at the border, this is a Holocaust. And the only reason that it's not being called a Holocaust, and I say this as a Jew, descended from a Holocaust survivor who survived camp and watched his whole family die, so you can't get mad at me for saying this. The only reason that some people are not calling this a Holocaust is because it's not happening to people that look white. Yes, I said it. So, speaking of whiteness, this next song is about privilege. It's called Possibilities. And when I wrote this song, I was thinking about how privilege doesn't need to be something that we feel ashamed of. It's not, for the most part, it's not something we choose. This wealth privilege is a kind that you can give away. So it's different. You're choosing to keep it for yourself if that's what you're doing. But with other kinds of privilege, like male privilege and white privilege, we didn't choose it and we can't give it away. But what we can do is see it as a responsibility to lift up other people who don't have what we have. And that could be through sharing our wealth. It could be through sharing our resources, our access, because there are things that we have access to that people without our privilege don't have. And so instead of feeling bogged down by our privilege, we can see it as this incredible power and this opportunity to help other people out who don't have the same privilege we have. And I think that that is really pertinent right now, because hopefully if Trump signs this bill, we're all about to get it. Sorry, if you're watching from somewhere else, this does not pertain to you, but if you live in the United States, you're probably about to get a big check. And maybe it's not going to be that big. I'm going to get some money because I think that they're changing the way unemployment works. So even me, a self-employed person, hopefully can get unemployment because I had to cancel a tour. And this makes me think about the people who don't have social security numbers and don't have proof of employment. And that is undocumented immigrants. They're not going to get a check, but they are just as impacted, if not more impacted, by this pandemic than any of us that have a social security number. So I encourage anyone who's going to get that relief, if you are getting any more than you absolutely need, I encourage you to share whatever is extra with undocumented immigrants. And there's probably groups in whatever place you live that are advocating for undocumented immigrants, and I'm sure they're doing something around pandemic relief. So please look into it and consider doing that, because this is a time when it doesn't feel like a privilege to be locked up in our houses, but we're going to get something that's going to make it easier for us, and not everyone is. Okay, so that's a lot to think about while you listen to this song, which is called Possibilities. Yeah. Also, I'm going to be giving money to a group local here, so maybe I'll post something on my website or something so that folks can donate there for that. Anyway, I'm just inventing ideas while performing for you. Forget that, or just hold on to it for later. So Sarah, who booked my tour, is also helping me run this live stream from afar. Don't worry, we're not in the same place. So shout out to Sarah, thank you. She's posting the links for the ways that you can give me money if you want to. If you see that stuff, that's because Sarah's posting it. So thank you, Sarah. What if you've been told that you were strong, that you could play along, that you were born to play this game and you were born to win? What if you've been told you couldn't be wrong, that you would always belong? What if you've been told you could take what you need, that you were born to be free? Ooh, no one knows the possibilities, oh, the possibilities. What if you've been told that you will go far? What if you've been told that you could play the guitar? What if you've been told that you could make money as if it could be made honestly? What if you've been told that you were smart, that everything you made was a work of art, that if you tried you would succeed and everyone agreed? Ooh, no one knows the possibilities, oh, the possibilities. What if you've been told your ideas should be heard, that your thoughts should be put into words, that everyone appreciates your advice because you're always right? What if when you turned on the TV you thought, hey, the heroes all look like me? What if you've been told and you believed you could be what you wanted to be? Ooh. Malfunction. Ooh, no one knows the possibilities, oh, the possibilities. Ooh, no one knows the possibilities, oh, the possibilities. I'm telling you now, if it's not too late, you deserve it all and you shouldn't have to wait. If someone tells you that you're unworthy, then turn around and leave. I'm telling you now, if it's not too late, you deserve it all and you shouldn't have to wait. If someone tells you that you're unworthy, then turn around and leave. Ooh, no one knows the possibilities, oh, the possibilities. Ooh, no one knows the possibilities, oh, the possibilities. So, the particular kind of privilege that I was thinking about when I wrote that song is a kind I don't have, male privilege. And I was thinking about how it impacts the way that I'm able to navigate the music industry, which is very male-dominated. And there's a lot of ways that impacts my day-to-day experience in my career. And I was invited last year to talk at a university about gender disparity in the music industry, and instead of just going off of my own experience, which I also did share, I also did some research because I wanted to have articles to cite and stuff, studies to reference. So I found a study that was a study of the 100 top Billboard charts of 2018, And the numbers were so much more depressing than I thought they were, with my, observations of the music industry. So of those top 100 songs in 2018, 22% of the performers were women. So 22% of those top paying performance jobs in music are available to women. 22%. That's not a lot. And then of the writers of those 100 songs, only 12% of them were women. So even the songs that are performed by women, they're performing content that was created by men. So that's one sort of layer of male filter, male lens. And then production, which is another filter, another lens, less than 2% of producers on those songs were women. So, it's not just unfair, it's not just a financial disparity. The thing is that music is culture. So musicians and writers, we are creating culture, and whatever is being handed out and pumped out and played on the radio the most, those top hits, that is mainstream culture. And when mainstream culture that's being pumped through your speakers is dominated by men, that's a male-dominated culture. And there's danger in underrepresentation. I'm going to give an example of that right now. There's a song that I used to love, and I would sort of unconsciously sing along to it, and then I learned how to play it because I wanted to cover it and perform it at shows, and then to perform it, I had to really, really learn the lyrics. And I realized all this time I'd been listening to and unconsciously singing along to something really terrible. I'm driving in my car, turning on the radio. I'm pulling you close, you just say no. Wait, what? You say you don't like it, but girl, I know you're a liar. What? Bruce Springsteen? Come on. And I don't think he had a bad intention writing this song. I think that was his understanding, that because that is a very, very popular understanding of women, that we don't know what we want, or we're being coy and we want to be coerced or seduced. And that is such a huge part of why rape culture is so prevalent, is so a reality. And that song was made famous by the Pointer Sisters, so it was sung from a woman's perspective. I say I don't like it, but I'm a liar, which feels even more dangerous to me to have that sung from that perspective. So equal representation is so important, and it's not just about fair pay. It is also about fair pay and opportunity, but it is also about the kind of culture that we are creating and perpetuating and allowing and celebrating. There's so many songs out there celebrating and glorifying non-consent. So I encourage you, when you're consuming music, if you're watching me, you're probably already pretty with it. But, we gotta do a little digging and seeking out of musicians, rather than just accepting what lands on our plate from on high, from the men making the decisions on high. So I'm never gonna get the kind of support from those choosers up there because I write songs like I've played to you already. And I'm a queer, non-binary, female-looking person, and I'm politically outspoken, and I don't look the way I'm supposed to look to be, though, that's changing a bit, but it's definitely still exists. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm never going to be, that kind of famous, because I won't be chosen. And so instead of trying to be chosen by those fuckers, I'm not going to walk that line. Hell no. I'm asking to be chosen by you. And, you can choose me in a lot of ways. You can choose me just by following me on the platforms, because that helps a lot. You can stream my music on Spotify. You can download my music on Bandcamp, on iTunes. And then just the very, very best way to choose me and support what I'm doing here as a queer Jewish woman in the music industry with these politically charged songs and banter is by becoming a patron. And I just surpassed 150 patrons. I have 2 platforms. It's a little confusing. If you go to Patreon, you're going to be like, what? You don't have 150 of us. I have another platform that's existed a lot longer through my website. And anyway, so I just surpassed 150, which means I get to play 2 benefit concerts per year. I'm so psyched to be able to do that, because with that financial support from 150 people, given somewhere between $1 and $100 a month, that's the range currently, but you can give more than that if you want. But with that support, I am able to play 2 benefit concerts, and when I reach 200, it'll be more benefit concerts. So, get behind it if you are able to. I would so appreciate it. Speaking of supporting women in music, this male-dominated music industry, it creates this competition among women. We feel like we have to claw at each other to climb to this little tiny space that's left for us. So instead of doing that, I want to lift up the women around me and create more space, because fuck that tiny amount of space. Not down with it. So this next song I wrote about a woman named Shenandoah Davis, because when I met her, I felt threatened by her songwriting. Not threatened, I felt paralyzed. I felt like, well, damn, if she's out there doing the same thing I do as good as she does, what the hell am I doing? So instead of remaining paralyzed about it, I felt paralyzed, but I didn't act paralyzed. I went on tour with her, we made a record together. She produced my record, Darling Specimens, and we still work together to this day. And here's this song, Paralyzing, that I wrote about her when I barely knew her. When you go, you don't look back. You don't look back. When you go, you don't look back. Back. Don't look back. I didn't know when it's time to go. and follow me. When you go, you don't look back. You don't look back. When you go, you don't look back. Don't look back. Do you know, when it's time to go? Oh, those eyes in my face, it's frightening. That's not where I am right now. I actually just read what that troll wrote on the feed and then I got distracted. Damn it! I don't even know what platform they were on. Probably Periscope. Periscope is full of trolls. You didn't all see it. Sorry. Oh, damn it. Oh, where am I? Paint on my clown face and I can sing anything. Doesn't matter what I'm saying, it don't mean a thing. When your lips fall, words fall out, they crawl across the floor and follow me. So, oh wow. This concert is being hosted by Jupiter Hall. And if you send tips in any of the ways that should be in your feed, but let me just tell you also that you can send me a Venmo payment. It's Zoe Bookbinder, BOEK. Or you can PayPal me, paypal.me/Zoe Bookbinder. Or Cash App, Zoe Bookbinder. Surprise, surprise. Every time it is Zoe Bookbinder. And I'm going to split those tips with Jupiter Hall because I want to support venues like Jupiter Hall right now because they are how I make a living when we are not under quarantine. And I hope that we get back to that one day. So I need venues like Jupiter Hall to continue to exist. So thank you, Jupiter Hall, for doing this fun, weird internet concert with me. And those of you that are able to tip for the show, please do, so that musicians and small and independent venues can weather this storm. We appreciate it. Earlier I was talking about my patrons, my patron community. I have a little over 150 of them right now, which is so rad. And one thing that we do together is we write songs together, and I ask them for their thoughts, experiences, opinions on a topic, and then I use their words and I write a song. And the reason I do that is because, we don't all have the same kind of expressive abilities or platforms, and I think drawing from many people's experiences, a diverse experience, is really powerful. And that's what I did with the Prison Music Project, which I talked about earlier. If you weren't here earlier, I know that people kind of pop in and out of these kind of shows. I don't tolerate that, usually. What was I saying? The Prison Music Project is an album that I wrote with folks that I worked with inside of a maximum security men's prison in California. And using the words of the people that I worked with in there was a really powerful experience for me personally, and it also has such a powerful effect on the people that listen to it. So I'm sort of continuing that in another way with my patron community. And you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and then you can be a part of writing songs with me. And the song we wrote this month is about consent. And I'm just going to put the lyrics here because it's brand new and I might forget some lyrics, so I'm going to play that for you. And if you want to write songs with me, become our patron. I was taught to say yes when I'm in no. There've been so many times I said stay when I meant go, 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 go away, go away, go away. I'm afraid to smile at any one of you, in case you take it as an invitation to do whatever you want to. And I'm afraid to tell anyone it's your good name that's on the line. If I say what you've done, I know it's on you, but isn't there silence to blame for the other two? I was taught to say yes when I'm in no. There've been so many times I said stay when I meant go, 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 go away, go away, go away, away, away. I'm teaching myself that I'm worthy, that I deserve autonomy, that I should choose what happens to my body, that I should choose. I was taught to say yes when I'm in no. There've been so many times I said stay when I'm in go, 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 go away, go away, go away, away. Monica! I love you, Monica. Just getting a fun comment from my #1 high school crush right now. It's fine. I'm fine. Totally chill. Okay. This song is about a dream that I had, where someone told me that I should jump off a freight ship into the ocean. As you lean, I fell 50 feet into so scrambled to hold on, or we lost forever. You said it was for my own sake, and watched as I was floating away. I knew it once, but still so surprised. You threw that stone and it skipped a million times. How was I supposed to know I would end up in the undertow? I'll learn to forgive mistakes and be forgiven for the ones I made. I'll learn to forgive mistakes and be forgiven for the ones I've made. I knew it once, but still I'm so surprised. You threw that stone and it skipped a million times. I knew it once, but still I'm so surprised. Thanks y'all for watching. I'm going to play one more song. I'm going to play one more, and if you're able to send a tip for this show, that would be so appreciated. You can do that via Venmo, Zoe Bookbinder, and PayPal, Cash App. I'm on there. I have a weird name, so you'll find me. And I'm sharing the money that I'm making tonight with Jupiter Hall, which is the venue that I was going to be playing tonight if my tour had not been canceled. So supporting venues like Jupiter Hall is important to me because I depend on them to do what I love to do and make a living at it. So thank you, Jupiter Hall, and send tips. We're splitting them, and if you're not able to, then don't, and just enjoy this song, and that's it. Follow me on the platforms. I'm on them. That's what you can do if you can't send a tip. And thank you, Sarah, as always, for helping me run this thing. Thank you to all of you for watching. And I do a live stream every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 Eastern Time, for my patrons only. So if you want to sign up as a patron, then you can get access to my Thursday regular streams, and I take requests in those streams so I can relearn my old songs. I might learn a cover for you if you're lucky. Which just means if I also like it and am able to play it. Okay, I'm going to play my last song now. Thank you for being here with me and allowing me to do the thing I love, which is playing music for people, even in quarantine. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. 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 Bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum. One carpet of dandelions, too much, but I swear I'm trying. 3 Alex, and I can see the future. 4 black and white photo booth pictures. 5 days that I'm back before I leave again. 6 weeks since I left, but I've seen you since then. 7 times that I'm good, I feel pressured by the plan. plan. Only count by 7 and I'll give you all I can. I'm in love with anyone that I've ever loved right now. Even though I've never been, I am sad now that they're gone. The people that I miss the most right now, I never knew and they never knew me. You never give me a chance to abandon my history. One carpet of dandelions, too much, but I swear I'm trying. 3 weeks and I can see the future, 4 black and white photo booth pictures. 5 days that I'm back before I leave again. 6 weeks since I left, but I've seen you since then. 7 times that I could, I feel pressured by the plan. Only count by 7 and I'll give you all I can. You said don't be ridiculous, but I can't be any less. You never dared to overreact. I just wanna see you get mad. You said my eyes are not as big as they seem when I look through them. I begin too many stories and never make it to the end. One carpet of dandelions, too much, but I swear I'm trying. 3 weeks and I can see the future, 4 black and white photo booth pictures. 5 days that I'm back before I leave again. 6 weeks since I left, but I've seen you since then. 7 times the record, I feel pressured by the plan. Only count by 7 and I'll give you all I can. 7 times the record, I feel pressured by the plan. Only count by 7 and I'll give you all I can. 7 times the record, I feel pressured by the plan. Only count by 7 and I'll give you all I can. 7 times my record, I feel give you all I can. I feel pressured by the plan. Only count by 7 and I'll give you all I can. Thank you for watching. Send a tip if you're able. Become a patron if you're able. Patreon.com / that's what I said. / Zoe Bookbinder. Okay. Love y'all. Happy quarantine.